Well, hello, let me introduce to you. I am Luscious Lance. I will be doing the reading for you in this exciting story of escape from Vacation World. We're going to go back to, this was episode 15, so let's get started. But first, a word from our sponsor. Well, I'm back, and let me show you the chapter that we will be discussing. It's right as you can see it. I'll be trying to run the computer. Uh-oh, it's fading on me. Can we get some technical help here? Okay, we got it fixed now. So let's take a look. Luscious Lance. Usually work with cousin Leon, but today I'm Luscious Lance. Loiso comes to the boat as Cassio welcomes him warmly. Good day, my honored friend. I bring to you clean clothing. Welcome aboard. We have some hot, tasty kishi waiting for you. This says, Marie has made it just the way you like it, my good friend, replies Champ cheerfully. Can we give you a hand? Asks Bailey warmly as she extends a hand. Champ takes the cue from Bailey as both he and Cassio steady the small boat and tie it to theirs. With each offering him a hand, he is graciously helped to the deck of their vessel. Please, says Loiso, supporting his usual grin and happy disposition. Its cheerfulness was one that seemed to have no bounds. Champ once told Marie how much he admired the man for this. Bailey remembered him from the hotel where they all had their first adventure.
And there you see them.
Was their waiter that served them on the first day in Outland. While this was only a little longer than a week for her, Earth time, she realized to him it was over 14 years. She doubted if he would even remember her amidst all the attention being given to Baby Doll and Boxy that evening. She couldn't help but smile when she thought about how comical it was to see grumpy Boxy Jones sitting next to Baby Doll in a cowboy Davy Crockett outfit. Bailey was very impressed at how helpful this small man was with her group. So when the two supervillains, TNT and GQ, came over to the table with Dean Fitzpatrick to introduce themselves. Back to the reading. Loiso, go down and get your supper. Cassio and I will secure the boat. Marie has a plate and drink waiting for you down the galley, and you know how she hates to be kept weeping, replies Champ with a grin. Yeah, and Dad and I even fetched our clothes so you don't have to worry about it, replies Cassio with his unbridled enthusiasm. Loiso bows quickly and says, thank you. Do you know which pile is yours? Of course, Cassio says. Our pile is the one on the left, the one with all of Mom's running clothes. Loiso nods, that's correct, and he makes his way to the kitchen deck below. As they begin to load up the boat, the slow-moving current moves them down the river to a sight that Bailey has not expected to see. She sees all kinds of bright-colored clothing sprawled out over the shore in small bushes and rocks drying in the sun. She sees more people waist high in the river with soap baskets and scrubbing other pieces of clothing, putting them in other large floating baskets in the river. Who are these people? Asked Bailey. Champ smiles and says, my guess is they are Loiso's competition. They are also called Fanicos. Fanico? Replies Bailey. Yes, it's a term for military men and it's a term for laundrymen and women in the African nations. They work very hard from morning till dusk. They even make their own soap out of coagulated palm oil, potassium, salt, sour soap, coconut oil, coconut butter. It's all biodegradable. They boil these ingredients together in a large steel drum placed over a wooden fire. Afterwards, cooking the soap concoction in approximately 6 hours, they pour it into tin trays and bowls and wait for it to harden. Several hours later, they cut the soap into large blocks and they go to work. It's like a hard work, says Bailey. Yes, but the results are very satisfying as she takes a garment from her clothing and smells it. Let's go down to the galley and visit with our Fanico friend, Cassio. Could you finish up here? Cassio replies, Okay, Dad, no problem. Champ and Bailey entered to see Loiso sitting at the table eating his food. Champ sits down next to him and is about to engage him in idle conversation when Loiso puts his one finger up to the heavens for him and told to hold his thought as he finishes chewing and swallowing. He wipes his mouth with a dry napkin and says gently, I must tell you something, my dear friend. You are in grave danger. Champ, Marie, and Bailey all look at each other as Champ looks with concern straight in his face with trepidation and says, What are you saying, my good friend? You are being followed. If you continue down the river, you will be boarded. I have heard from the others that they plan to seize your boat at nightfall at the river at the Roy Coss Trading Center if you continue. If you go west before the trading center to the fork and return back home, you'll be safe. But if you continue down the river, it will prove to be disastrous for you. I would hate to lose such a good friend and customer. Why? Why would someone do that to us? We don't have anything of value. We're not a threat to them or anybody. Besides, who are they anyway? Loiso looks long and hard at Champ without blinking as he says, They know, Champ. They know, you know who they are. It's not like that it's been that long. They know you will receive or possibly already have your superpowers restored to you, and they can't take a chance of you joining the other side in fighting against them. You are all in very dangerous conditions right now, all of you. Champ stands up and discreetly moves over to the currents and peers carefully down the river. I don't see anybody. They're there, Champ can't. Trust me, when I say this, they are there, replies grimly Loiso as his eyes move to both Bailey and Marie. Champ looks at Marie with a puzzled look. Marie, his eyes move from Bailey to Loiso as she too sits down in the chair next to her husband and rests her hand on his elbow. Loiso explains, Back at the village, they told me that they were strangers nearby watching them two, and there was a lot of activity there that seemed abnormal. There were many ideas of the villagers being tossed about, like something big was going to happen. All were very nervous. I always seemed to catch the tail end of the conversations. Call me paranoid, but it seems that it was something not for my ears. I think they know of our friendship, Champ. I think they know I would do all I could to protect you. Loiso looks up at Marie for only a second as he takes another bite of kimchi. Champ moves over to the rear window to check on Cassio and considers how all this might affect him. Being boarded and treated violently is something he had never seen or even heard of. He had managed since his birth to spare the boy from any overt acts of violence and dangerous situations. Since there was no TV or movie theaters there on Notlam, even Hollywood had never had a chance to corrupt the young lad. Now it looked like it was going to be inevitable. His heart is warmed by the type of nostalgia when he thought back to him as a small child, playing in the yard with some little squirrels and most mornings. Yet, as common as the son might be compared to a typical young boy, his age, he knew he was very, very different. He seemed to have a unique connection to this planet, a connection that was both unique and hard to explain. Lately, he understood things here even before Champ explained them. He amazed me sometimes at what he understands. A good example is the Nefesh fish. Champ smiles and looks over to Marie and thinks of himself of what he would always call him, Notland's first premier fish whisperer. Loyaliso slows in chewing as he continues to listen intently to the conversation of Bailey and Marie regarding their concerns and fears, and even removing their eyes from the dish of kimchi. Loyaliso stops chewing only for a second as he contemplates a moment to think. But instead he reaches for a glass of water, takes the sips and returns to his meal. Champ begins to nervously pace back and forth in the cabin, scratching his chin and neck furiously with no practical reason other than to release his pent-up nervous anxiety. He knew for a second to calm himself, turn the others slowly, and say as if an epiphany, "It's simple. We return home and explain to them that it doesn't mean anything. Even if we now have these superpowers, does not mean that we're going to use them against them or anybody. We're still neutral to the conflicts of the aliens and the other humans and have no interest in getting involved or picking one side or another. We simply want to be left alone." They should easily accept this, since this is not the first time we have been in this position. We've always stayed neutral and have never had a problem with any of them. Loyaliso finishes the last bite and wipes his lips on the napkin gently and says with a serious low-tone voice, "This time it's different, Champ. They will not leave you alone and accept your decision. There's too much at stake." "How can you say that, Loyaliso? How can you be so sure?" Loyaliso stops eating quickly, wipes his mouth, and pushes his plate aside. He looks straight at Champ and says unblinkingly, "Because my good friend, Mr. Fitzpatrick, has returned." Champ looks over to Marie and Bailey to see if they understood why this was so grave and why the situation is different this time. Loyaliso turns to look straight at Marie and says, "Because your mother, as time out, brought them all back here to Notlam, and they believe this is the first step in laying the groundwork for a complete takeover. You are all now a threat, whether you like it or not." Champ shakes his head back and forth and says, "Well, I'll just have to convince them that we're not. We'll just renounce our powers and cooperate with them in all things," says Champ. Loyaliso stands up, walks over to Champ, puts his hand on his shoulder. With long-standing affection from a good old friend, he says, "It will not be that easy. It will not work this time. You are my friend. Everything is about to change in ways you could never imagine." "Fine, just let it change. It doesn't involve us. It can't involve us. It just can't. Do you understand, Loyaliso?" Explains Champ firmly, again and even louder, as if it mattered. Loyaliso exhales and looks at him in the eyes and says gravely, "Champ, there is another factor that you need to be aware of before you make your decision regarding all this for everybody here." Champ turns to Loyaliso and also answers, "What are you talking about?" Champ, your brother is Sly. He's alive, and he's about to be executed very soon. Champ's mouth falls open in shock and disbelief. His very skin begins to flush and pale, exposing his full face freckles despite his full-placed beard. My brother's alive? Yes, for the time being, said Loyalista grimly. Well, we have to save him, says Champ without hesitation. We have to save him. We can't let him die. Champ stands up and slams his closed fist to the open palm and embraces him emphatically. Yes, we do, answers Loyalista calmly. Please sit back down. While Champ complies, he immediately looks over to his wife and mother-in-law for any ideas or thoughts. Both Murray and Bailey look at each other with uncertainty as to what to say or do. Champ's excitement, fear, and anxiousness is coming together as a mighty juggernaut as he begins to stand up and begins to pace. With heightened strength, he quickly deflates to momentary doubt and sits back down in his chair. Worried, nervously, apprehension begins to beat on his door of self-confidence as he slowly sinks to his chair, completely diffused with power. How are we going to save him? We don't know where he is or how to go about rescuing him. And considering the fact that they know we have our powers back, that even removes the element of surprise. And they are following us, and what are we going to do? What are they going to do? Stay tuned for the next episode. And I won't be back because Lance, the Wonder Man, Luscious Lance, I'll be somewhere else. But in the meantime, you'll have somebody else to help you. But thank you for reading. Be sure you subscribe. Give me a couple thumbs up, maybe 3. That's a little bit better than Dr. Gooding does. So we'll see you. Thank you.